Another day, another games industry person freaking out about Palworld. Seriously, it's like the game broke them all or something. This time it's the chief of staff for Dead by Daylight, who wrote a now deleted LinkedIn post bad-mouthing Palworld. Now let me be clear, Palworld is not a perfect game. There's plenty of stuff that you could point to that could be better, but for some reason, no one criticizing the game focuses on any of that, instead focusing on the most surface level complaints possible. Today, let's take a look at Nathan S. from Dead by Daylight's post. I first found the post on a tweet from @PCFocus on Twitter, who'd screenshotted the entire thing and posted it with the caption, "Dead by Daylight, Chief of Staff says Palworld is not good." Now, the original LinkedIn post has been deleted, so thanks to PCFocus for the screenshot. Also, I should point out that I checked it out, and Dexerto also confirmed that this post is from the Chief of Staff, just so you guys know I'm not trusting the word of a random Twitter account as to who this guy is. So let's take a look at what Nathan had to say. Palworld crossing 2 million concurrent users moved it past CSGO to trail only PUBG in Steam's all-time concurrency rankings. However, it's already the clear record holder for how quickly I became sick of talking about a game. I don't think Palworld is very good. I mean, that's fair, no one has to enjoy every game. I wonder what his reasoning is. It's insanely buggy. The game's most dangerous enemies are the random holes in its map. Well, the game launched in an alpha state, it's not meant to be finished, and it's pretty clear that alphas will have bugs. What I care about is that Palworld has already committed to and started to address those bugs. They put out a development update just the other day, which I think is actually quite a good reaction for a dev team that just launched a product into alpha. Most teams would take a week or two to de-stress after the chaos that is a launch, but whatever. What else did Nathan have to say? Combat is boring and repetitive. I completely disagree on this one, because there is a ton of different weapons and PAL abilities to use in combat. Sure, if you limit yourself to just a couple PALs and always use the best weapon you have access to, it might get stale, but in reality, you're doing that to yourself. Also, to be honest, I mostly use the crossbow because I think it's cool, and I really enjoy using it to take down some pals. It has just the right amount of weight to it, and using it to just utterly destroy a pal is something that I've yet to get bored of in over 50 hours of play. That's just my opinion though. What do you guys think about the combat? Let me know in the comments. Nathan's next complaint is about the balancing. The balancing is awful. This really becomes apparent in the mid and end game, when catch rates seem to decrease and your own weapons damage drastically outscale what your pals are capable of. Now, I haven't made it all the way till the complete end of the game yet, but in talking to some of my friends who have, they don't seem to have an issue. I suspect that he's not doing any breeding or picking and choosing his pals based on traits, because you can get some seriously powerful pals. As for catch rates, it does seem like there might be a bug with the way that the catch rate increase mechanic works, so maybe he just got caught up in that. But I think that as long as you keep upgrading your pal spheres, it seems to scale fine, at least to the point I've reached. The large open world is empty, littered with points of interest that aren't home to anything interesting. I don't know if he's playing the same game that I am. One of the reasons I'm not in the endgame yet is because I personally really like exploring the map. I like that it's huge, and I don't think he's correct in saying that it's empty. Every so often I come across a pal I haven't seen yet, and it's cool every time. Not to mention the tons of chests, eggs, and other collectible things that you find scattered all around. It's just a little hit of dopamine every time I get one of those bad boys. So I think we can say this is a bad point. But the combination of the two strong loops is powerful stuff. Monster taming's just one more catch, and crafting's just one more build, result in an addictive amount of just one more. And since I'm weak, I'll admit I've played a great many hours and beaten all the towers. However, I won't be chasing all the legendaries, and I'll do my best to resist the new content when it arrives. Palworld is early access. The windfall its sales have generated should allow it to deliver on its roadmap, and I'm sure both the balancing and bugs will be addressed. Yet it's missing something I don't think any amount of money can fix. There's no warmth here. So he says that he's having fun, that he's played a ton of the game, but he still thinks it's bad. He also knows that it's an alpha, which does sort of mean that he knows his early complaints are about things that will get changed in the future. So kind of pointless to even bring them up. His dislike for the game, a game that he's had fun with and played a ton of, by his own admission, comes from the vague and completely meaningless idea that it doesn't have any warmth. For some reason, every time I see an industry person hating on Palworld, they all have these completely ridiculous and undefinable reasons for disliking it. Even if it's fun, they don't like the game because of some inane idea that they have about what a game truly is, completely ignoring the idea that all a game needs to be is fun. At the risk of being saccharine, What makes Pokemon special is the bond you form with your adorable ball dwellers, and this bond is a source of something approaching ludonarrative harmony. The strongest trainers are those who have the greatest connection to their Pokemon. The fundamental tenet of the franchise is that there's power in empathy. Nothing hammers this idea home better than the first episode of the animated series, one of the greatest episodes of anything ever, when Ash is willing to sacrifice himself to save Pikachu. As Cass Marshall wrote in a great piece for Polygon, the problem is that I don't particularly care about any of my pals. I got hundreds of pals, and I won't remember a single one. These critters are just disposable resources and labor, and aesthetics aside, they reminded me more of the slaves in Conan Exiles than any Pokemon. I think that his issue with the game, the reason it doesn't have the esoteric warmth he described earlier, is that he wanted it to be a Pokemon game. He wants it to be a goody two-shoes game about empathy, about the bond between a person and their pal, which I think means that he missed the entire point of the game. The quote that he references about how it's bad that the author didn't like the game because they never cared about their pals speaks to the same thing. They are looking for a connection, for a bond, in a game that is fundamentally about exploitation. The thing that differentiates the Palworld pals and Pokemon is that the Pokemon trainers are supposed to care about their Pokemon, whereas pal capturers use their pals as an exploitable workforce. It takes the dark things that we all know would happen in a Pokemon world, but is never mentioned, and brings them to the forefront, makes it the main game mechanic. I think that Nathan was looking for a feel-good game, but while Palworld is fun, it gets some of that fun from the fact that you can do in Palworld something that you would never be allowed to do in a Pokemon game. Exploit them for work, slaughter and eat them. Part of the appeal is the absurdity of the whole thing. It's kind of like that feeling you get when you're a kid and you're doing something you know you're not allowed to do for the first time. He does end the post with a banger though. I'm hardly the first to make this point, but the greatest takeaway from Palworld is the missed opportunity for Game Freak, who have been taking a devoted player base for granted for far too long. Hopefully this serves as a wake-up call. The bigger winner here, beyond Pocket Pair, whomever at Microsoft signed that Game Pass deal. I actually entirely agree with both of those things. Game Freak is going to have to actually try now, because now that Palworld is a success, there will be all sorts of companies that are going to throw their hat into the monster capturing game. This will be the first real competition Pokemon has faced since what? Digimon, I guess. Overall, the reason I wanted to talk about this post is because it embodies what I've seen all over in regards to Palworld, but really the whole gaming industry. It seems like the industry people are completely out of touch with people who actually play games, whether that's games journalists or actual game devs. None of them can realize what makes an indie game outsell their AAA nonsense. They always look for something more, want to get some deeper meaning out of games, and by doing that, they lose focus on the only thing that really matters. Is the player having fun? What do you guys think? Do you agree with his complaints? Or do you think it was as out of touch as I do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. If you made it this far, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, have a great day, and God bless you. Anyway, if you're wondering where the subtitles went and why I stopped adding them, it's because people were complaining about them and they take a lot of time to add, and if nobody wants them, I'll just stop. So if you want them, let me know. Thanks.